Hey everybody, welcome to Home with the Halsteads and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how I make a corn pudding. And you may be thinking right off, well, corn pudding is a wintertime dish. Well, actually it's not. It can be eaten any time of the year and enjoyed by you and your family. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the ingredients. And remember that corn pudding is not a dessert. For those of you who have never made corn pudding, the word pudding, you think of it as dessert, but it's not. It's a side dish that you can just eat with your meal. And it pairs well with pork or fried chicken. It pairs well with broccoli, with stir-fry vegetables. It's just a good change to have as a side dish. So let's talk about it. You can use fresh corn, which is always the best. You can use fresh frozen corn. You can use corn kernels, whole kernel corn that's in a can, or you can use cream style corn, which is what I'm using today because that's what I had in my pantry. And I always say, use what you have. So I'm using a 14.75 ounce can of cream style corn. I'm also using 3 eggs, 1 cup of milk, and you can use skim milk or half and half or whatever kind of milk you want to use, but I'm using whole milk today. 2 1/2 tablespoons of flour. You could use plain flour or self-rising. I just grabbed the self-rising. 2 1/2 tablespoons of flour. I'm using 3 tablespoons of butter, and I'll melt that. 3 tablespoons of butter. I'll add some salt to taste. I'm going to use ground white pepper today in this, and that's also is to taste. And I'm going to sprinkle a little paprika on top of it. Now, after it gets done, if you didn't want to use the paprika, you could sprinkle some chives over it, which would be a beautiful garnish, and it would also taste delicious. So let's get busy and make this corn pudding. I have preheated our oven to 375 degrees, and I'm starting out with our eggs in this bowl, and I'm going to use a whisk to start beating the eggs. Now you could use an electric mixer if you wanted to. Sometimes I like to use my electric hand mixer. So I've just beat the eggs, and now I'm going to add the milk and continue whisking, blending it and combining it together. Next, I'm going to add the flour. You could use cornstarch if you wanted to, but whatever you use, you want to make sure that all of the flour is incorporated, that there are no lumps. So this will take just a second to do this, just making sure that there are no lumps. And this is where an electric mixer might be a little better, but I'm just going to whisk it, and you can too if you want to. As this cooks, it's going to kind of take the form of and the texture of a souffle, but it's just going to be so good. And as I said earlier, it's just a great change to have for you and your family. Okay, next I'm going to add our melted butter. Just stirring that in. I'll go ahead and add some salt to taste and some white pepper and continue mixing. Now let's add our corn. And again, I'm using cream style corn. You could use fresh, you could use fresh frozen, you could use whole kernel corn in the can. If you use whole kernel corn in the can, then you want to be sure and drain the liquid off. So now we'll just mix this around, stirring it really well. This is going to be good. It's going to be so good. Now, it's ready to go in our casserole dish. I have sprayed this little dish that I have here with a no-stick cooking spray. And I wanted to talk to you just a second about that. I call it a no-stick cooking spray because that's what it says on the can. I've always called it a non-stick. I think you could call it either one, but it does say no-stick on the can. So that's what I refer to it as, a no-stick. Okay, now we're just going to pour it in. That looks so good. Get all those little kernels out. Okay, it's ready to go in the oven. We're going to cook it for 20 minutes on 375, and then I'm going to turn it back to 350 and cook it for another 25 minutes. And of course, I'll check it before that time is up because my oven cooks hot. So I'll see you back in a little while. I cooked our corn casserole for an hour. If I had put it in a longer dish, it would not have taken as long. But let's dip into it and see what we got here. It's kind of like souffle. It's moist. It's still a little warm. But look at that. Yum, look at that corn. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to get in this. I know it's going to be delicious. And like I said, you could serve it with broccoli or stir-fry vegetables. So this is how it looks, and now we're going to taste it. Okay, it's tasting time. Let's see how this corn pudding tastes. It kind of looks like a pudding. The texture is kind of like a pudding. So let's try it. I want to get some of that corn. Can you see it? That's good. That's really good. For a change, yes, I would make this again. And I hope that you'll try it too. I'll see you again really, really soon.